English 1A students, you are kind of moving into territory in which you need to be citing sources to support a stance in the papers that you're writing. And for many of you, you've been doing this for a long time, quoting from various different sources. Um, but in English 1A, I really want to impress a couple points. And the first is you need to cite sources that are valid. And by that, I mean you need to find sources that come from um, a database. So there's a shift that needs to take place between, say, high school research style in which the student goes online and just does a Google search, and in college. So whenever you do research for a paper that you write, no matter what the class is, you should utilize a database. And databases are paid for by the college. They're not free to the public. And so this is just a tool that's essential for every student, particularly kind of in the times that we're living in now. You still can go to the library and find a book off the shelf, and that's perfectly fine, but I do want you to be proficient in using these tools. So let's begin by going to the library. Here's a link here on the Saddleback College homepage. Okay, and if I scroll down, I'll see research tools, and I'm going to click on articles/journals. And there's quite a few databases here. You'll notice the tabs up here, general databases, databases A to Z, and databases by subject. So this can get confusing pretty quick because there's kind of the option overload element. There's so many options to choose from. So kind of as just a starting point, I want you to be proficient in using Academic Search Premier Ebsco. So you're still kind of in lower division world. So this is a great general database. As you move further along in your academic journey and get into upper division, you're going to become more discipline specific. So there's databases that are designed specifically for, say, chemistry, engineering, or nursing. But Academic Search Premier Ebsco is just kind of a do-all. And here's an intro video that you can check out. But these are just kind of my general thoughts on using Ebsco. I'm going to click on the link. So this is an online class, obviously, so we have to follow these steps to access the database. This is off-campus database login. So I'm going to punch in my username and password. And I'm in. So this is what we'll see from the get-go. And here's it says sign in here, so you have the option of registering. So that would enable you to create a username and a password, and so if you wanted to save information, you could save it to a folder and then access it later. But for our purposes right now, I'm just going to generally show you some of the tools when you're using Ebsco. So keywords. So when you're doing a search, the first thing you need to try to decide on is keywords. So I'm going to type in online dating and United States. So you want to keep your keywords, I would say, limited to about 4 words. And you don't want to enter in a question, so just you're entering keywords, and we're just doing a basic search. So let's see what comes up. Not too bad. What I mean by not too bad is we only have 28 sources to choose from. This is interesting because oftentimes the challenge of using a database is the results that you get. You get like thousands of results. So let's say if I was to punch in minimum wage Um, United States. I have 497, so that's still not too bad, but you probably don't want to slew through 497 pieces. Um, so what can one of the things you might do early on in your research is narrow down. So one thing you might do is decide if you want to use magazines, newspapers, journals, or trade publications or reviews. So I'm going to just use magazines. And now I'm at 234. So also publication date, that's an important element to keep in mind. You don't want to be quoting from a source back in 1956. So if you could, this is a sliding feature here. If you can, I'm going to move it to 1992. Okay, so now I'm looking at fairly recent sources, and that's something to keep in mind when you're using sources in papers that you write. You want to draw from recent sources, not dinosaurs. Okay, so here are a couple of features. I like this over here. This, if you hover over this, it shows you the author's name and maybe most importantly the abstract. So you just kind of get a quick overview of what this piece is about. And if I like it, I can save it to this folder. And there's also you also have the option of emailing something to yourself. So I'm going to open this up, the minimum wage war. See all these tools over here to the right? This one I really like. I can email the source to myself, and notice the format that it's in. It's HTML, which is essentially like a computer type of format, as opposed to some of the other formats like HTML. I mean PDF rather. So Wage Warrior, I'm going to click on this. And here you have two options. You can have the HTML full text, which is kind of like the format that you would see if you were just reviewing this online. In the PDF, I like this because it really shows you what it looks like when it was in print. Okay, and I'm going to go back. So you can print that out, you can email it to yourself. It's up to you. And I like this as well. It notes the source, so later on this is important when it comes time for citing your information on the Works Cited page. It's all laid out for you. This is from Time Magazine. It was published in March of 2014, volume 183, issue 9, page 38, and it's 4 pages long. So we're looking at magazines between 1992 and 2014. Here are our keywords. And we can choose between PDFs and HTML. And if you want to just review a bunch of different results, we can just look quickly on this tool here that shows us the abstract. And if we want to keep it, we just add it to a folder. And eventually, I want you to put together what I would describe as a friend pile or friendly pile. So something that you go back to, you look at all your results in your friend pile, and you start to winnow down to probably about 5 or 6 sources. So trying to find sources that are pertinent and sources that you think would really strengthen the argument that you're making.